not going to put this out like in its full thing. I'm going what my intention is, like to clip it and add it to the show. So like when like we get to that question, you know, I'll play your answer to the question the same way I'm having other people answer it. So it'll almost be like you're there. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I intend on using it.
Then what I'll do is when you ask the questions, I'll try to wrap it in like a 2-minute spiel.
Yeah, that, I mean, and we can expand on it too. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't want to limit your thought process, but I definitely want to incorporate your thoughts into the flow of the conversation, as opposed to playing it. You know, like, well, this is what the funk thought, and you go through the whole conversation with me. And you know, I don't want to do it like a reaction.
You can be funny, like when well, what the funk said, and then just like piss people off.
Yeah, hopefully there's a couple things or faces you make, and I can clip it and do it the way I was doing the Boondocks.
Oh, let me get my water bottle where I'm being.
But yeah, definitely. So first, like, how does it even land on you? So I'm gonna say the phrase the way.
Before we jump in, there is one thing. Chantel had a live with Lucky and 6 other people like who were actually pretty big, and they had a conversation near the end about, and Lucky was talking about how a lot of women want to get these men who will fight for them when a man disrespects. And it was so hilarious because she's like, that's why a lot of the women go for the Pookies and Ray Rays. And it's like, so women, you want men to risk their life. Like the guy had to break it down. It's like the goal for the man is to get you home safe. Like if someone disrespects you and then I try to fight them and then they end up draining you off somewhere, who knows? Like I'm protecting your chest. You're the man for not, and people are shooting now. People aren't fighting. So it's like these women really feel like men have to like uphold their bad behavior. And I think it's something really worth diving into in the future. And I would love to get your perspective of that, because these women really think that, because it's no matter what, if you have a good looking woman, you're going out, which is why I think you shouldn't be going out really in the first place. You're putting yourself in a dangerous situation. If someone like cat calls a woman, or someone like, hey, bitch, like you're supposed to walk away and ignore that. But women, and she was even saying like they wouldn't respect them. And I was just like you're not going to stay with that man if he's in jail. Mm-hmm. Like really? Or if that man gets his ass kicked, you're not going to stay with him. So you want him to gun. She's like, well, yeah, a future. And I'm just like, y'all really don't know that y'all put us in so much deathly situations. Anyway, let's get started.
I agree with that. I mean, just to touch on that real quick, that is a good conversation, and we probably do need to have that at some point. But I believe in like a multidisciplinary approach. So I believe in like religion and philosophical and scientific. Like I try to incorporate all of those principles into my thinking. So what you just said is based in biology. Like according to science, women are biologically attracted to the Pookie, Ray Ray, alpha type, the man in uniform, the alpha aggressive man to procreate with. Yeah. But after she's procreated, her attraction supposedly actually shifts to a beta man, because a beta type man is more actually a provider type. So their attraction shifts as their biological needs shift, which is why I think so many people are confused about what women actually want, because they're confused. They aren't taught to know that their wants shift based on their needs. Whereas a man, we're more kind of set. We're not looking for different types of women biologically. We're looking for any type of woman. We're just procreate.
That would be great if women would stay with that beta man. But what happens is I think that women will go ahead and marry that beta man, but then divorce him and take half of his stuff and just go ahead and rely on that, and then go right back to the Pookie and Ray Ray types.
Right, because again, they're still going to have that urge to procreate again, which is going to then drive them away from the beta man desire. They're going to want that alpha type, but then they're going to go back and forth, which is why people say women are crazy and confused, because none of us understand the nature of men or women. We don't understand our own natures very well.
Very true.
We're like, we're playing.
We realize how much of animals we really are. I think we have ourselves on this really weird precipice, and I'm just like, I said this when I was bartending all the time. Like, hey, we're animals. So judge, like, hell, when I deal with my kids, I'm like, just treat them like animals. Go run them until they're tired. Like it's just easier that way. But yeah, like I said, just wanted to plant the seed to have a conversation with you about that because I think it'll be actually really dope.
Let me make.
Let's talk about these badass kids. Let's talk about these badass kids. What are we gonna do with them?
Man, that's the thing. Let me get this note down. Let me see. Pursuing men. Let me see.
I'll send you the timestamp. It was like the last maybe 30 minutes of the show. Because they're actually going to be doing this every week, which is actually, I think it's going to be a dope panel with Lucky, Up-Leveled Kim, and Chantel Simone with Red Pill Hustle. Says Spin the Clip, and then another guy. So it's actually.
All right, definitely. Well, I got that down. But this is the thesis from AR was that baby mama. Let me rephrase that. Baby mama terrorists should be punished when their children are caught committing crimes. All right, so that's the thesis. That's his foundational principle. Baby mama terrorists should be punished when their children are caught committing crimes. Because he's saying, the black community right now is being ravaged by crime. It's a lot of teenagers and young people. So we can't just keep doing what we're doing. Of course, the second layer is that, a lot of liberal policies in these cities are causing a lot of this or allowing it by putting them back on the street. But if we're putting them back on the street, we need to punish somebody. And he says, go up to the baby mama. And he did differentiate, third layer. He differentiates between a baby mama and a single mother.
What's the difference?
That's what I have to, I'm probably not going to get it clear. I'm not probably going to get a clear delineation until Monday. Okay. But to the best of my knowledge, he's saying like a baby mother are these the unstructured, letting dudes hit it raw type women, the loose, the ratchet.
I'll assume he'll say like it means like the ones who were never married.
Right, yeah, but even the single mothers might never be married, but maybe they were in a committed relationship and they expect it or something. Like there are levels of irresponsibility. And, so he's talking about, the baby mamas are the most irresponsible, so that type. More likely to be on welfare, things like that. Don't know the dad's name, that kind of weird stuff.
Okay, gotcha. Well, if we want a positive result, I do believe that having the parents being held accountable will yield a positive income. It'll piss a lot of people off. But if the goal is to curb back the crime that's in the cities, it will be a positive. And I will say that because I even did this with my daughter, and I think it's been a philosophy that I've had that's like, with my daughter, if she does something that I don't want her to do, I punish myself. Like when she did something, I would take my hand, I'd be like, Jelani, no. And I'll smack my hand really hard. And she'll be like, and she will like, okay, Papa, I'm sorry. Like, because she knows it hurts me. Like, because then I'm not going to pop her. Because, I don't think that popping her helps. So I had this weird idea, like, I'll pop my son and I'm like, Jelani. And she's like, okay, I'm sorry. And it still works to this day. And I honestly feel that when kids and young teens realize that the adult, the mother that they love, will incur a penalty for their behavior, I do think that it psychologically will make them rethink what they do.
I had to make a note of that. That's actually pretty good. That's why I like having these type of conversations, because I didn't think about that aspect. Because my thing is, if they're irresponsible and out in the street selling drugs and bringing that kind of activity around their mother, they don't really care enough that if she got locked up that they would care. But I mean, but that's also, there's still a possibility that they do. But yeah.
Or even like especially if you're out in that lifestyle, and then someone shoots up your grandma's house. Like, it's like sometimes in our community, we don't get the lesson until it's too late. And I think that if there are some sort of repercussions that happen to whoever is your caregiver, like actually, hell, if you really want to do it where the grandma who ain't got nothing to do with none of it, if you act bad, your grandma get locked up. Like that'll make people straight. Because because your uncles will beat your ass if granny get locked up for something you did.
Mm.
And in a really weird way, like that's kind of like a mafia style mentality where it's like it makes people in your family hold you accountable. And I think we don't have a lot of accountability in our families. I think if you as a teen did something wrong and your grandmother had to deal with the repercussions of it, your aunts, your cousins, your uncles, like your family structure would come together to hold you accountable. Of course, that would never happen, but that's a solution.
Golly. Jeez.
Sorry.
No, I got something in my eye, but it's like, dang, it's like, I don't know if that's like, shoot, a psychosomatic response, like, oh my God, grandma.
but if the goal is a positive, if the goal is to curb it,
Jeez.
That would absolutely work.
Whew, man, look, I mean, with a lot of us having broken families, that's assuming though that the assumption in your thing is that we have aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters that would step in and do something about it.
They would, I mean, I think that's the only person that would actually yield a family coming together. As a grandma having to deal with, because if it was your mother, I think that your overall family would be like whatever. But if it's grandma or grandpa, whoever like the elder is in the family who like is loved, if she had to incur the wrath of the grandkids' bad behavior, that means the parents are going to be held accountable. I mean, like, right?
That's deep. Oh man, no grandmama from the train.
Man, could you imagine?
Wow, man, there would be upheaval in the Black communities if grandmas. Jeez, man.
Right? You want to shoplift and grandma got to deal with the repercussions? Oh, there's going to be a whole family meeting for that little 11-year-old boy.
Because we would have to literally stop and think like, am I willing to put my life on the risk to go stop this fool? Because we can't have grandma going. I mean, it will force us to do that math. We would have to do that math.
Grandma can't get locked up.
Man, that is a tough one, man. I'm glad you said that though. That's a woo.
Just the thought of it's scary, ain't it?
Yeah, man. Oh man. I'm glad you said that today, so I got time to think about it. Because if I heard that on Monday, I'd have been so blown by that. I'd have been like, I wouldn't have been able to participate. I'd have been like, wow, grandma. Because if any of my family, if anybody committed a crime before my grandma passed and she got locked up, I would have killed that person.
Yeah,
like I would have.
You got to get a grandma clip to put in the show. It was like Granny, like where Dave Chappelle's like, Granny, no. Like, oh man.
Hey man, that's crazy. Wow.
The grandma from Family Matters, like just get locked up for Eddie Winslow trying to be a thug.
Jesus, man. Yeah, man. But that's a good one.
But logistically, you're right. It probably wouldn't work because it would have to encompass. You couldn't just do it by race. And I don't think you could actually do it by those who are on welfare. Like, there's a lot of like, it's one of those solutions that I think the government would never do, but I think it's one of those solutions that the community should do on its own, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't see it negatively impacting the community. I see it pissing a lot of people off.
Yeah.
But
because a lot of the problems with any of these solutions will be the logistical part. Because it's hard to put any group, it's hard to take your group needs special attention and we're going to apply this only to your group. Because it always, again, comes across like racism. Like we're getting the harsher treatment or harsher penalties but I mean, like they say, like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Like sometimes you do need to pay and focus special attention on a certain area. But because of the racial dynamics of America, it's really hard to do that because things aren't applied equally already. So, I mean, that's going to be a trouble in anything. You know, that's going to be a problem in almost anything we talk about.
Yeah, it's actually a thing. I think it was the thing either in New York City or it happened yesterday. These 4 teenagers, 4 girls, actually, black girls, carjacked a 71-year-old lady.
With the arm got ripped off?
Yeah. And it's just like.
Those were girls that did that?
Yeah.
I thought that. Oh, I just assumed they were guys. Somebody sent me the article. I didn't read it. I didn't. I
And I
skimmed
watched it
it.
on World Star, and those are girls.
Jesus.
So it's like, okay, especially if they're under 18 or under 17. Someone has to be held accountable for that. And alchemy wise, the parents should like what do you do? Because according to the justice system, you can't try those, especially if they're girls, right? If they're girls, they're not going to get tried as adults, probably. Well, actually, they're black girls, they might. But either way, it's something that's like, what is the family life like for that to have happened? And I don't think as a society we ever analyze criminals' family lives and why they've done the things they've done. We just judge them for what they've done. And I think this is actually a way more proactive way of handling, things like this. Is actually like, where did you come from? What did you go through? Why did you do this? And a lot of times people who do crimes, they don't even really have a reason why they do this. It's like the zombies. They just do just to be. You ever watch Bait Car? People get in the car with the person that's still in the car. Why did you get in the car? Well, just because. Like, we really don't think it through. And even if it's taking somebody's life, I think it will actually make parents raise their children differently and start having these kind of discussions about the things that they do, if it's going to affect them. And I think I've seen a lot of shitty parents. I've seen a lot of shitty mothers who smoking weed around the kids at 3 years old, just in the car hotbox, laughing about it. And I think it would absolutely put some pressure on them to start taking seriously how they parent their children.
No, that's definitely true, man. That's
make them change the music they let them listen to. Like, I'm about to go kill these motherfuckers, and you were like, "Whoa, hold up, what you listening to?" Like, hold on, no, because I gotta deal with the penalty of you listening to that music now. I think it would absolutely be a positive.
My issue with that, I want to go through these. I have some points, but the penalization, like the punitive nature, like that's what ultimately a lot of people want. Like, a lot of times with Law and Order, that's what they really want. They want punishment. They don't want like rehabilitation. They don't want correction. They just want to punish somebody. So I don't want penalties just being heaped on people just for the sake of penalizing somebody. Well, somebody has to hold this. Somebody's got to hold this L. Like, somebody's got to take this butt whooping. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the corrective behavior? Because if the child goes back and does something else while the mom or grandmom is locked up, well, then what? Do you keep locking up family members?
No. This is the thing. I think we have to start. The punishment can't be go to jail, because that's going to make it worse. Like, we all know that the jail system it's a shit show, to be very blunt. So if there is going to be a penalty, it has to be one where it's like outside the box, like where like you get sent off to like I've been in Germany too long, like a work camp, but where it's like where you really get sent off and you rehabilitate, where you really get sent off and like you don't get any type of incentive to do it. Like, you don't make money, but you have to take these parenting courses. You have to, like, you don't get to be home. Like, you get sent off, like, for years maybe, or not years, but like a long time where your parent. I think it has to be that, where it's an actual goal of rehabilitation, not the goal of punishment. And if the goal is to rehabilitate these parents who are allowing, where the parent and the child have to go off together and go to this camp, this I gotta stop saying camp and being in Germany, but going to this camp in the mountains where it's like it's like a jail, but it's not. It's more like like how those drug people have, like, where it's like it's completely isolated, but it's not relaxing. Like, they're working out 16. It's almost like the military, where it almost be like a military parenting. I think that would be a much better solution than actually putting them in a jail. But that would be a better solution, I think.
No, I do have. I would prefer that for the like the offender. I would prefer the offender to go through some kind of boot camp or something where they were forced to be like socialized and disciplined. You know what I'm saying?
The offender and the parent, or just the offender?
I say the offender. Like, I mean, if you could do, like, I wouldn't put the parent in a boot camp, because again, most of these people, if we're talking about baby mamas, you know, with that moniker of people that are loose with the way they live, they probably have multiple children. So if you're throwing her in boot camp and she's a single parent, then those other children are going to be left to the system to take care of.
No, the whole family got to go.
The whole family.
The whole family.
Oh,
gotta,
man.
Hey, if you want a positive, if you want it to flip,
I get what you're saying. I understand it, because that's an actual intervention. Like, we're changing the trajectory of the entire family. But to force that on people, like, that runs opposite of the American freedom, you know, idea. So, you know, that's almost like conscription, almost, and you know, it's too close to slavery.
No. Look, okay, if they're doing work, when they finish, they get some money back. No, a good amount so they can go back to their situation and be better. Or whatever their rent was is covered during that time, so they don't end up getting evicted, or there's ways to get around, like, all the money that we actually have in our community that we don't spend on the community. I think this is something we could spend our money on. But again, if the entire family goes, in the long run, I actually think it's a positive for that family.
It would be,
if it's done the right way.
If it's done the right way.
Yeah, and then, like, let's say you did something where you committed a crime and you killed that old lady. So the whole family gets sent off. And
Jesus.
Right? So now that girl who's part of that crime, now she's going to have to work for the next, let's say, 15 years, where whatever her income goes towards that family, some of it, a good portion of that family, to put the grandparents, something to alchemize, which is not a word, that family's anger. So they don't feel, so they're not angry so much that you're not in prison rotting, but they're like, okay, you're not doing it this way, but it is going to end up being a benefit for us. I think it's a better pill to swallow, because it's better than what they would normally get. They would just get like some type of validation that, you know, you're going to be sitting in jail. That's not helping them. That's not helping their family become better. But if that entire family was like, okay, we want to atone for what my daughter did. Clearly, I didn't raise her right. Maybe I made some mistakes. The thing that's going to happen is they're going to be like, well, where's the father in this? And that's where I think you're going to probably go next in this conversation, because it's a real thing.
No, definitely. I really do think that it's hard to put all the onus on one party when it took two parties to make the child. So, I mean, again, if we're throwing the whole family, I mean, the other children are bearing the burden. Some of them might be young. Some of them might be too young to even have that type of behavior, but they're all getting shipped off and displaced.
But they're not young enough. They're not too young to be petty, and they're gonna be looking at that older sister like, I think, she got to look at her 4-year-old brother just mad, chipping away at rocks. Like, I was playing with Legos yesterday. Your trifling ass wanna be a thug.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting here banging rocks together.
No, I actually do agree with a lot of what you're saying. Like, because I have like, I don't always share my real, like, because my opinion ranges. Like, I don't have like one set opinion. Like, a lot of people have like one set opinion based on like around the talking point. Like, so I have I have outcomes that I hope for, and that outcome typically has multiple paths to get there. You know what I'm saying? So my opinion varies because there's multiple paths to get to that outcome. And what you're saying makes sense. Like, because that's, again, redirecting the entire family's trajectory, even though it came from a negative place. If we poured the resource into that, that's how you build and we keep talking in these spaces about we have to rebuild the Black community, and you have to do that through a strong nuclear family. Well, if you're actually taking a weak link and turning it into a stronger link, that's exactly what we're trying to do in all these talk spaces. We're talking about trying to turn these weak links, a broken community, into a healthy and whole community. So if we're doing that through the penal system,
yeah,
if we're doing that and actually rehabilitating the entire family from one criminal infraction, man, that would be amazing. But that sounds like it sounds too good to be true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It sounds so easy that it can't be done. Because if you really think about the logistics of it, it could easily be built.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm right there with you, and I'm gonna take it a step further, because this
Okay.
was also on the Boondocks, and they had it where Grandpa had signed away his family into slavery. Now,
Yeah.
so I also, because I do have a range, like I said, I have a range of things, not just on the criminality. I think this would be something for society, because in my mind, and just walk with me here, the ultimate evolution of capitalism is slavery. Like, that's the final form where you're extracting 100% of the capital from a person. Like right now, there's some capital coming back to us. You know, some as part of the GDP, as part of the production mechanism, we get that wage and we get benefits and things like that. So we're getting some of that capital. But as it progresses, if it was a fully, like, if the power shifts fully to the producer or the ownership,
Yeah.
slavery is that ultimate mechanism of capitalism.
Yes.
And then, like, so it's like a spectrum, a sliding scale. And then when the ownership is all the way in the people, you go into what? Socialism. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's like the spectrum. The people all have all the power. Right now in this capitalism, it's mostly business, but some of the people. And then you get to the other end, it's like it's all the business, or all country, whatever, all state, all. So ultimately, what we're sliding into.
With capitalism, like, it's really, I see what you mean, where it's like every group is kind of in some level of slavery, but because our dollar circulates like 3 or like 6 hours in our community, we're definitely at the bottom totem pole, because our capital doesn't really speak for anything, because we end up giving our capital away right away. Whereas other groups of people who are in capitalism and working, they have more pull in what happens in capitalism as opposed to us.
And then over time, what you notice is, and everybody's complaining now because everybody's noticing this, everybody is losing the value on the dollar. So everybody is losing their capital, and it's all being bled back into the system. You want to say the state or business. Right now it's corporate interests who owns the state. So eventually, what everybody would come to, if it's left unchecked, would be back. Everybody's in slavery. That's not a slave owner. Because everybody you would be born into debt and working to pay for your food and housing in some kind of way. So that's the ultimate form of this. So if that's the case, why not already have a system where people could be wards of the state? Like, I mean, because we do it in prison. We do it for prison already. So once you're in prison, you're pretty much owned by the state, and they own your productivity, and they may give you a small percentage. But why not have that as an institution already built in for people who aren't being penalized for a crime, but they don't have autonomy? Because they're like, I think I was listening to somebody, and they were saying that there's Jordan Peterson. Yeah, he said that 10% of people, because you got the talented 10th, then you have like the bell curve, the bulk of humanity on a spectrum, and then there's another 10% at the bottom who just are almost useless. Like, they're incompetent. So even the military wouldn't take them. You're saying I'm so incompetent or mentally inept, I can't just be pointed to hold a rifle and walk out there to my death and point it at the right person. Like, the military doesn't even trust you to do that. So what would you be useful for in society? So you don't have a productivity. We need you to do something, because you're going to do something with your time, and it's typically going to be harmful or a detriment. Yeah. Why couldn't they be wards of the state and their productivity be capitalized in a different way?
I think that actually absolutely makes sense. I even think for our community, I mean, if we keep it at a buck, I would say about at least 25% of the community we can be without. I would say that about 20% of the Black community we would be better off without them. I don't know who that is. Actually, I do. But I really. But again, if that was the case, I think it would also incentivize those people who are in that 20% who would be able to do without. It would make them do better. If there was like some type of like Hunger Games, like if you aren't doing this, you will go. You'll become a ward of the state. I think it will automatically motivate those lower, not lower class, but the
yeah, no, it's hard because of the labels. So the labels.
It's not so much about class, because a lot of the people who we can do without are middle class too. A lot. So it's more about. I don't want to say it's more about a moral thing, but yeah, fine, I will. Like if you're making money by selling poison in the community, we can be without you. If you're making, and this is the thing in our community, we judge how people make money. We don't judge how they make money. We just judge if they make the money. So there's a lot of people who have clout by doing the wrong things, and we give them a pass because they did it well. And a lot of those people would be a lot better off doing without. So if there was some sort of hierarchy, like if there was like a church full of black ninjas that like keeping everybody on, like I really feel that we need a black mafia. I really honestly do, where like they're in every area and like the little chaos crimes will stop because you are accountable for the crime that you do. And I honestly believe that would be a much better benefit for our community rather than the chaos crimes and break-ins and robberies and like all of that would be so much better. Like you couldn't sell certain drugs in certain neighborhoods back in the day. Like I think all of that would be a positive now as opposed to what we have.
Yeah. Nah, I agree with you. I do think, but we would need to make a distinction or a choice. Do we want to err on the side of morality or functionality? Because, like you said, like if we do the thing where we say morality and we're getting rid of like drug
functionality,
yeah, like
because people have different morals through different religions, and I don't think it would be smart to be like, well, the Bible said that because I'm not a Christian. So like I believe it's better to keep that out. It's more about logical, positive things that are working for the community. Like if you're doing logical things that are benefiting the community, great. If you're doing logical things that are a hindrance, we're going to have a conversation with you.
Yeah. I was about to say, because on the morality side, the drug dealer would go, but then pharmaceuticals is a drug. That's a drug dealer too. It's just got a clean rep on it. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why I don't have a hard moral take on drug dealers, but functionality. There are some people who do not produce anything positive. Like that's why I'm like functionality. If you can't produce, like you can't even go out and like rake leaves and cut grass. Like there's nothing functional or useful to like no utility.
You can't even rake leaves? Damn.
I mean, but some people they devolve to that level of life. Like they contribute nothing. Some can, but they don't. But with this kind of system, they would be incentivized to, so they don't become wards of the state. But there's some that probably are too like inept or like they're just too far gone for whatever reason. I won't say why, but for the different reasons, we would have to consider something.
Copious amounts of marijuana.
I mean that too.
No, I used to love weed. I haven't smoked in a long time, but still, like I'm gonna smoke in the future. But I really see how like weed can truly put you in a state of mind where you just fuck it, with everything. And I'm glad I'm clear-headed, but at the same time, I see that like when you smoke that shit on a daily basis, and especially if you pair it with alcohol, like you are so clouded you don't even realize it.
Yeah. And that's the thing with any type of cloudiness. I mean, whether it's like emotional, like chemical, because you're existing in that state, it feels like your normal state. It becomes the baseline. So it's hard to tell somebody that they're off kilter because they've learned to operate in whatever fog they live in. So yeah. And that's why
Hennessy and good weed, that is not a good combination. Like, and that's people's party shit. And then they wonder why we go out and party and get violent. Like cognac in marijuana. Like, do you know what your body is doing when you like? I don't think people even really realize how crazy spirits really are. And I've been bartending all my life. I've seen it. I've seen how alcohol is. It completely puts the spirit of something else in you. Hence why it's called a spirit. You turn into a different entity. You turn into a different version of what you want to become. People get absolutely crazy on it to the point that becomes who they are.
I do believe in that. It does become a problem. So I'm sorry. I'm trying to work through thoughts at the exact same time. I'm going to go back to a couple of the specific points that I had as pushback. So you've almost convinced me. We probably almost should do something where we punish somebody in the family. Like this is almost like an incentive shaped behavior. But parents and guardians. Parents and guardians are already legally responsible. So if we're going to amplify the responsibilities that are already on the books, we need to say exactly what that means. So, like, is it automatically like the people that carjack somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Do all four of their families lock up Granny? Do they share the same prison sentence? Is it just like a small prison sentence for Granny? Just to force the situation, like put weight on the situation, or is it just like something more symbolic? What does it look like?
Granny's in prison until the young boys have worked off the community service or worked off the alchemy to that family whose car they stole.
Mm.
So maybe they had to paint their house. Maybe they had to do, but Granny's in prison until that car. Like, did the person die? If so, then Granny's gonna be in there for a while, or they got to work double time to really get it right to get Granny out on some type of probate. Like,
so you would let Grandma die? You would let Grandma die in prison?
No, I'm gonna work did I carjack somebody?
Like the four girls you said, the carjacked the girl and a 73-year-old woman died.
Okay, yes. Granny. No, Granny. For that, Granny doesn't die in prison. For that, honestly, in that kind of a situation, I would honestly say that goes more on the parent than Granny. I think I want to bring like the grannies in when it's like a misdemeanor type shit. But if it's something that's if it's something like that, then that's something I think the parent gets the slap on the wrist, and that's where they would both the child and the parent get sent off to the camp. When it's like the misdemeanor type things, like before it gets to that level, I think that's where you bring in, because that's gonna, there's still some hope. But no, for example, for the four girls who carjacked for just doing nigga shit, just for no reason.
I think I like that. I think that might actually be good. So misdemeanors.
Granny eat those misdemeanor charges, felonies and that goes on the parent.
Oh. Wow. Okay. I mean, I almost kind of like that because then Granny wouldn't be in there for a long term, probably like months or days.
Yeah, like a month. We could put a hard cap on Granny's prison sentence, like for 2 to 3 months.
Wow, that's just crazy. That's an interesting thought experiment, though. Granny's locked up for 2 months because Johnny carjacked somebody, and they leave.
Again, I dare you to bring this up and say, how would this negatively affect the community?
Man, Granny got locked up.
What did you? Why? Even your friends will hold you accountable. Like everybody in the community will hold you accountable for getting your grandma locked up.
Now, question.
And we wouldn't in our community. We celebrate young men that do those stupid ass crimes and young girls who do those stupid ass crimes. That would stop completely now. If it made your granny get locked up. So
now you have 4 grandparents.
Okay.
How do you choose? How do you choose which grandparent?
Whichever's the sweetest one. Whoever's the sweetest one. Right.
how's the court system?
solution.
How's the court system gonna know who the sweetest grandparent is?
Church. No, like who makes the best pies in your family? Like that's whoever's the one that's doing most of the cooking. That's the one that gets locked up. No, whoever's okay. Because I mean, there's always good grandma and bad grandma. You know, like
no. Okay, so what about this? What about this though? What about actually, if we make this gender specific? Okay. So what about if the matriarchal line is held responsible for the girls, and the patriarchal line is held responsible for the boys?
That makes logical sense.
Because we always say a woman can't make a man. So if we already know that a woman can't make a man and believe that, holding the woman responsible for the inability for this boy to grow into a man, that and we also in the same space and say women should submit, the man is the leader, the man is the head. If we're going to have all those ideas, she cannot be culpable for not raising him into a man.
But that wouldn't work though, because a lot of the times the fathers don't really have real power or time with the boys to raise them into being the right men. Mm. It would be a solution that worked if it was like the father had 50-50 custody and blah blah blah. Because even if you try to do the grandfather, it was like, well, wait, are there a lot of grandfathers in our communities who would be accountable to like the boys? And a lot of times not. Mm. Because you would think in our age group, yes, because we had grandpas, but now, like for, let's say these kids who are like 15, 16, 17, like they don't have a grandpa that's like imparting code onto them the way that we had grandpas, because a lot of the women who are our age didn't have fathers really around. So it's like we're like grandpas aren't there. So the only people who are actually probably there on a mass are the grannies. Logically, what you're saying does make sense if our community was intact, but our community is fucking backwards anyway. So it's like you can't have the male grandpas being held accountable for the young black boys doing the wrong thing, when it's pretty much having those young black boys are probably raised with women with estrogen ass energy around a bunch of other aunties and sisters, and they haven't even had the father in the life to actually pull them away from that to impart what they should be doing correctly. Okay, so wait a minute, we're having a wrong conversation anyway. So then the real conversation is, if that happens, the boy should simply just go to the father. Boom, that's a solution. If the children are doing things of that nature, it completely switches. Child support switches. Everything switches, where the kids are out of the mother's hands and switch to the father, no matter what situations he's in. It's just, hey, black man, you just won the lottery because your baby mama ain't shit. So now you're gonna get all the money that she was getting, and we're gonna make sure that you're put in a situation where you have an apartment, we have house the kids, and you put the kids in the whole. We're switching the whole shit, and even the black community will like start putting money to make sure that this happens. That will make a penalty for the women to start raising their kids better, because they don't want their children to have to go to the baby. That's a solution. So then this entire thing probably doesn't even hinge on what I think it. Like the only way to actually institute solutions would if there were equal parenting rights. Yes. Because it's not, like you said, it's not fair to punish the guys for not being there if they also don't have any authority to be there. Right. Like, so, but it's also not fair to punish the women if the man isn't there. So I'm saying, like, this is unfair on both sides, because I know you're also male biased. So also, you're also male biased. You're red pill. You're male biased. But listen, I'm not red pill. I'm in the middle, bro. I really am. But listen, if the woman, I piss women off a lot and get threatened, they're gonna come to Germany with a passport and come whoop my ass, does not mean that I'm. It just means you're a well-known male rights activist.
Like you're a very well-known men's rights activist. Like so, you know, for as far as parental rights and child support, you have a very hard line about men's rights. So I mean, you know, I want to make sure we understand that. But women, dang, it's tough. Okay, so let's say you're 50-50. But women also, but dang, we do have to start earlier. It will have to be on rights because a woman shouldn't have to be forced to be in a relationship with a guy, and a guy shouldn't have to be forced with a relationship with a woman. Like nobody should be forced to deal with each other because the other person might be crazy, toxic, unhealthy. There's all kinds of reasons.
Right.
But if you're able to walk away, you should also be walking away from your right. You know what I'm saying? Like like if you're walking away, like there should be like a sacrifice that comes with walking away. Like if you lose a job, you lose your wages. You know what I'm saying? You're sacrificing something to walk away. So there should be something that you're walking away from. I mean, I
think that would also incentivize people a lot. Yeah, that would incentivize people not to walk away. So, like here in Germany, if you divorce, it's a 3-year ordeal. Like it's not easy to walk away. They make it specifically hard that way because they want people to figure it out and stay together and realize, okay, I'd rather just stick this out than go through all this. The only reason why I was easily able to, I was married to my ex. So it would have been a whole another issue. And second, when they found out that she was lying about how she was lying, then they were just like, okay, well, hey, you guys are in the same town. You guys are adults. 50-50 this, figure it out. You tried to lock, and they put the ownership on. Now, if I was having to pay like child support and everything, then I think that would make me be more bitter. But because I don't, it's just like, okay, shit. All right, sweet. I won. I just want to be a father. And I think because of that, we've been able to kind of like co-parent better together. But if I was having to pay for her in the house that she was in and like with a new boy, that causes a rift. And then I'm not being able to see my kids when I want to see them. Like that's what happens in America. My situation would be completely different. Doesn't matter if she was black or white. If my situation in America would be 10 times worse than what it is here in Germany. But because it was like a simple 50-50, y'all figure it out. Y'all be adults. You guys are in the same town. We'll do a checkup again in a few months and see who has complaints. And if you guys don't have complaints, then we'll just keep going like this. It's very logical here. Because the government still gives her money for my children. And they would anyway. Because in Germany, like you get like almost $200 for your kid regardless. And now that she's like, a single mother and not with me, she gets I think like $220 for each of my children, and I get $170 for each of my children. Socialism.
That's not bad. Yeah, I'm a big advocate, man. It's okay it's nothing. I believe everything should be in moderation, including capitalism and socialism. You shouldn't be 100% in any one camp. Like there should be aspects. You take the best of everything and try to mitigate the bad. But I like the way like structure supported healthier outcomes, and we don't have a healthy structure here, so we're not going to have healthy outcomes.
No.
But now in your situation, I want to use you as the way to enter this topic, but not your details specifically. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to put you on the spot. So like you have a partner that you did not work out with, right? So that happens to a lot of people. And in that situation, most people will tell the woman, like in these online spaces, choose better. Yeah. But what about you? Like as the man, again, not you specifically, but for all the men in that situation. Yeah. Why isn't the onus put on the men to choose better? Like you chose this person too.
Yeah. And everyone's like, well, do you see the red flags? And it's like, it's not, I don't think we put in the onus how much women are allowed to change. And it's great in the beginning. And people were like, well, choose better. Like most men thought they chose right. They really did. Most men go in like, yo, I think this is going to be it. And whatever happens when a kid's born or, kid after and then postpartum or like whatever, and something happens where you can't go back from it. And Sometimes it's women like falling off. Sometimes it's men, like whatever it is, the reason that I don't think it's like, well, you need to choose better. You need to choose better who we procreate with. But at the same time, I think a lot of times men, there's one sector of men who thought they chose correctly, and then there's another sector of men who just didn't care. And I think we're punishing all those men together. When I think in reality, a good number of men made babies for the right reasons, and it just didn't work out. And they're being punished sometimes even more harsher than the guys who were going around just making babies everywhere.
Yeah. Now, don't you think that same principle would apply to the women? That there's some that really thought they chose correctly, and then some that just didn't care? I think that might be the distinction between the single mothers and the baby mamas. I think that might be the line of delineation that AR probably is hinting at. But
what's the difference? So what's the difference for men? Would it be like single? Because we're not single fathers. Because single fathers means like the mother's not around, right?
Yeah, but see, but that's the thing. I mean, but you're like even if you didn't have custody of your children, you wouldn't be the custodial parent, but you would still be a single person and a father. You'd still be a single father. Like,
but would I be a baby daddy then? Like if I was seeing my kids like every other 2 weeks, like then I'm just a baby daddy, right?
But I think it's on what we just talked about. I think the recklessness of the community, men or women, is what makes you a baby daddy, baby mama. The recklessness about how you procreate.
Okay.
But I think people who like try to have established relationships or trying to have committed relationships and it just doesn't work out, those are the single parents. Like, so I mean, I think the level of responsibility is what separates the single parent versus baby daddy mama. You know, that whole thing.
If the baby was an accident or if the baby was kind of on purpose. Yeah.
I mean, somebody you had a relationship with versus somebody you've known for a week or two. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a fairer line, I think. And I think most of us have conceptualized that idea. There's a difference between people who were in a relationship for like a year or two and had a child than somebody who got pregnant 3 weeks in.
I think for all this to work, it would actually have to take real judges, meaning that people the judge would actually really have to sit down like with the people, with the family, and really like it would have to be like that, those Greek style judges where it's like they really dive into the scenario and like think like it can't be like just, oh, this is the rules and this is the law. Like it would be like each judge would individually spend each time on the case and brainstorm. Like I think it would have to go back in time a bit and have to have judges that way for these kind of solutions to work. Which again is a positive thing, I think. I think if judges actually did that, it would be so much better.
I think we do need to abandon doing things the way we've always done it, because that's what they keep saying, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and thinking and you're going to get a different result. So we keep trying to apply the same practices and procedures on something, but we see we're still falling further into crisis. So we do need something like not revolutionary, but like something like that. We need something that's totally outside of the way we've been doing it. And I think maybe this is maybe this might be onto something. I mean, maybe.
I tell you what, I don't know how you're going to clip this up, but I think like if you want to, I think just upload this whole shit.
Hey, man. Hey. With your permission, I might go ahead and do that. But hey,
you know me, I don't care.
Cool. Well, all right, I have another question. I have another question from the topics. Some of my pushback. When we're going to punish the mothers, and I say also the fathers, but do you think? Because his position was just the mothers because of their fathers are gone. Not possession is 9/10 of the law. People say
wait, does a stepfather get punished too?
That's another thing. Like, I mean, where do you draw the lines of culpability? I mean, but you're already punishing grandma, so you may as well punish stepdad.
Yeah, you know? if he's in the house around the
But do you think the father should get culpability? Like he should be free because we don't know where he is. Shouldn't we look for him? Like, it's like if you robbed a bank, I got caught if I got caught in the bank steal and you got away, they would still pursue you.
Yeah. But
So
not as
if-
hard
if-
because they got one. Not as hard though, 'cause they got- right? So I mean, if
but you
I
would still have a
been-
warrant.
yeah, okay. But if I'm a man, and I just haven't been there,
Mhm.
and I haven't been raising that child, even though I've negatively affected that child by not being there, I still have
Exactly.
not so much had a hand in what that child has be.
Your absence helped create that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have to find out why he's absent.
But
If
see,
he's-
and then here's the slippery slope, though. Here's the
Okay.
slippery slope. Because this is the problem I posed when we had this conversation originally. If you're going to do blame pie and do that, well, why is this person not there? Well, then you have to keep going and expanding that circle outward. Well, then why is the woman the way she is? Why is the man the way he is? Why were they such poor parents? Is it the environment? Is it their parents? Is it their parents? And all of a sudden you're going back to slavery again. Like where you eventually you just have to stop at the mother and the father, just for
Yes.
like the sake of couching it somewhere. So the mother and the father are responsible for creating that child.
Yeah,
Why is this child the way he
I
is?
think you simply would just stop it at the mother. Like, did the mother's behavior make it so that the father had to walk away from that entire situation? Now,
Is
of
there
course-
ever a reason you have to walk away?
Yeah, I did. Shit, yeah. If I'm about to beat the shit out of this woman because she put her hands on me, it's probably I needed to walk away. I think there's a lot.
Can they just say the child is more important? You're a man. Deal with it. Couldn't that be said? Couldn't somebody have that thought?
I mean, most people, they try to, and I'd be like, yeah, you're stupid. You haven't been through that situation. Like, no, I think I've met many men who have had to do this, where it's like they had to choose their own mind, their own state of mind over their children. And a lot of times, women, after a breakup, they put men through so many head trips that they just say, you know what, I'm just going to leave this entire situation alone. There's a lot of men, women, like, they think the whole fight for your kids is easy. It's not. And a lot of men just say, you know what, F this. I'll just try to speak to my kids when they're 16 or 17. And hopefully they'll understand, which of course they don't. But a lot of men just say, like, I can't keep doing this or I'm going to go insane. There's a reason that men are suicidal. There's a reason that men are at the height of depression. A lot of times, these men who have been trying to be fathers to their kids, and they lost that right, and then they hide it with marijuana, they hide it with alcoholism. But in reality, a lot of men have had to leave their children in that whole circle because of the behavior of our women. And it's not that I cast blame on logically how most of our women act in relationships when it comes concerning their children.
And you don't think there's some of that on both sides?
I think it's some, but I think it's more on women in our community.
You really think it's more on women?
Absolutely.
Do you think? No, I'm trying to frame this because see, a lot of people don't take the absence of the man as toxicity. Like again, they say, well, what did she do to drive him away? Okay. Right. That's typically where a lot of people land. Well, she's standing there holding the bag. So again, like in this whole conversation, she ends up being the one responsible. The woman ends up being responsible because she's left holding the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it also possible that we just don't know that the man is as much of a problem because he's not there? Like out of sight, out of mind. We're giving him a built-in excuse because we don't see him. We don't see his toxicity and negativity. So we're putting it more on the women.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct, but I still will say that that's not majority of the case. I do believe that a lot of times women are probably making the right decision by having these men not be around their kids. I get that. A lot of women made babies with the wrong men because of the way they look and blah, blah, blah. Just like a lot of men have made babies with the wrong women behind the way they look. I think in our culture, we don't really procreate so much on how that person is soul-wise, either about how well they provide or how they look, but not how they are as a person. I think only maybe 15% of our procreations are done in the like, oh my God, I can't want to see you as a father. And I want, like, I believe in you as a mother. Like, I see that you, and I love this about you. And I just want to procreate with you because version of me in you. Like, I don't think we really do that. I think it's either more like, oh my God, this person can provide and take care of what I want to have, or this person looks so goddamn good and I want to make they baby, especially men who ain't doing shit. Like, ooh, I want to make a baby with you. You ain't got shit going on. Men that really got shit going on don't want to put babies in every woman because they got shit going on. Men that ain't got shit going on, they make babies. And they make babies and they be doing crunches all day. So their body is women like, oh my God, that's all they do. You go to Miami, them homeless dudes be 10 abs. All they do is do burpees all day and just be on the street working out because they ain't got shit else to do.
So we got to make decisions with a different part of our brain structure. So yeah, I get you.
Yes, because on one end you got the whole like you have people like on the Kevin Samuel side where it's like make babies who are the best procreators, and it's like and you have other people saying like, you know, make babies with the men that look better, and it's like in reality if we want to religious wise, it should be making babies with the people who have the best souls. Make babies with the best good people.
What about making babies with the person that's willing to commit to taking care of the child with you? Like, I don't, you know, I mean, I get what you're saying.
That's the person with a good soul. That's the person.
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, we don't have a way to grade souls. We don't have a way to grade souls.
Yeah, you do.
Like,
yeah,
the average person. So I can walk up to somebody on the street and be like, I can tell what your soul is.
Just give them mushrooms. You give somebody mushrooms. You're gonna see their soul. Man, I'm telling you, once you take mushrooms, it'll make sense.
I've never tried them, but most of us.
That's what we're gonna do one day. One day we're gonna do a whole live stream, and then you're gonna take mushrooms for the first time. Okay?
Nah, I would never do that on the live stream.
Why? Why not? Why?
First of all, again, I don't even know if I want that experience. Like, I don't. The things I've heard. No, I don't know, man.
It's epic.
Like, my brain is already a weird place. I don't need it to get any weirder.
Yes.
Like, let me sandbox this off.
Snuggles will be there. Don't worry.
I want to do a stream with Snuggles so bad. I want to do. I want to do a Snuggle stream. Like, instead of struggle streaming, I want to do Snuggle streaming. I've already reached out to him, but he hasn't committed to it. I want to get several content creators, and we just sit up there and he just asks us all those weird questions Snuggles asks. Like, that's the whole show.
If I had the time, I would go through everyone's live streams.
I was going to do that
and just take a picture of all the questions that Snuggles has answered, and then Snuggles, really, whoever Snuggles is, channel to actually try to answer every single one of Snuggles' questions.
Can't you do that? Can't you see people's comments?
Like on YouTube? Or just
like, because I know there used to be a way where you
like that would be a gold mine of amazing questions to ask people in the black, because Snuggles be asking the questions that are just like, yo.
Oh yeah. That's what I want to do.
If you can do that, holy shit.
If I find a way, I'm gonna look for that, because I thought there was a way.
Answering Snuggles questions.
Yeah, Snuggle streaming.
Dude, that could be a whole channel.
It could be, because his questions are out there.
Yeah.
So
and then just have random content creators come up there and try to answer his questions.
Yeah, I wanted to do a show. I promise you. I sent them a message, and they responded to it, but they didn't send me an email or something so I can connect with them. But man, I want to do that.
Snuggles is some random person locked in like a basement in, like, you know, Matrix goo. You know, just with a thing in the back of their head, just like glitching out, microdosing. Just loves the black community, you know, because Snuggles ain't black.
every now and then, because they use outside language every now and then.
Yeah.
Like, why do you guys do like I've never heard a black person say that. Like, why do you guys? I've never heard that. So yeah, I'm curious about Snuggles, but I want to. What I'm trying to do with my channel, again, take these absurd thoughts and questions and like couch them in reality. Can we actually have a real conversation? Because what a lot of us do, we'll dismiss it because of the inflammatory or the insensitivity. We'll just dismiss stuff because it's coming from a conservative or a white person or whatever. Like we'll dismiss ideas. But I'm like, well, let's actually have a conversation. I mean, we've had, I think, an interesting conversation based off what I originally thought was like, that's a stupid question. Like, that's a stupid thing. Like, we're just going to punish the mothers. But I'm like, you know what? Let's actually think about that. And like, you've even said some stuff that I didn't think of. Like,
I still want to dive in with that one. That one comment you did with the 7 ladies. Where you, like, I don't think these men like women. That's a comp. But
like, to be fair though, I also don't think these women like men. Like, because I've heard the same women on like on Kevin Samuels and stuff, they say when he talks about what they would have to accept, like a man that makes 45K and he's comfortable making 45K and he's not going to get anything more than the cost of living adjustments. Are you okay with that? And I've heard so many women say, I'll just buy the dog and die alone. Yeah. Well, that means you don't even like the man. You like his potential. Like, so they don't like us either. So I'm not trying to be like misandrist. I'm just saying, I don't think as humans across gender, we don't even like each other. I don't think we know how to relate to each other.
Oh, absolutely, we don't know. We like to say we love each other. But, you know, you can love a family member and not like them. I think that's how we are in the Black community. I think we love each other, but we really don't. And that's the one thing is like I don't know where all this Black girl love, because it's like Black girls don't really like Black girls. They really don't. But now all of a sudden, because like we're bringing up their issues, now all of a sudden the Black girls are like trying to like, you know, like, it's like, y'all hate each other. Y'all really do. No, they really do. Sisters are so vicious to other sisters.
I mean, we're all vicious to other people. Like, all the crime in the community is men on men. Like, that's what I'm saying. We don't treat each other like, okay, Black Lives Matter. Like, let's unpack that as like not Black lives, but it's an abstraction. The idea of Black people is what we
but imagine if someone's like, okay, imagine you're yelling Black Lives Matter and some white guy just comes to you and says, no, they don't. What do you say after that?
They don't. I mean, I've already thought about this. They don't. The actual lives don't matter, because I know people like that are very well intended. They'll spend more time and money doing these mission related things for people in other countries. And I had to talk to them like, you guys are spending hundreds of dollars every Christmas to send these boxes and gifts overseas for this thing. But we have people right here in this city that don't have food or toiletries and stuff like that, or that could use the outreach and the love, and they don't have parents or something. We're overlooking the people that look just like us that are hurting right now to send something to these people we'll never see. Like, you could be boots on the ground affecting people on your own block that are hurting. Or, I mean, because the church I was talking about was in a poor community. Like, it's like one of the worst communities in my city. And instead of doing outreach there, they're spending time and hours and putting together boxes and collecting goods, and buying the goods and getting donations and then shipping it overseas. Spending money, hundreds of dollars in postage alone, just to ship it out of the country. I'm like, there's dudes down the street that probably don't have toothpaste. Why are you sending combs and brushes to, like, but that's, our Black lives really don't matter to, not, again, some, not all. To a lot of us, the idea of Black women, the idea of Black men, the idea of Black boys and girls is more appealing than what's actually here. And when we actually want to engage with what's actually here, it's too messy and we're repulsed by it.
Yeah, we have so many Black kids in the foster system. If Black Lives Matter, we would have taken up on that. But that didn't even get addressed. The Black kids in the foster system who turned out to end up being a lot of, it's like, we don't care. We try to act like we do. We'll protest like we do, but we don't.
Yeah. And that's a function of humanity. I mean, because it's not just us. I mean, I know people get sensitive about when we single out a group, but it's not just us, because you see it in white people. They like dogs more than other people. You know what I'm saying? They'll kill 3 people if you step on one dog. You know what I'm saying? So there's an imbalance in humanity. I don't know what the issue is. What the funk? He's big on like the alchemy and the metaphysics. I mean, there's something misaligned in us where we're so willing to throw away people. Like we love the idea, the concept of other humans is great for us, but the actual real life, like pitching in and helping and loving,
Yeah.
nah, we're not there, man.
I'm just thinking about John Wick. I'm like, yeah, you're right, because like he didn't kill all those people when his friend got shot. He killed all his people when they killed his dog. When they
3 movies and a 4th one's on the way.
3 movies and a spinoff, all because of that little beagle dog.
Dog, man. And the same thing, like Michael Vick, he was killing dogs, and people were talking about killing him. So you're gonna kill humans. You're like, I'm gonna kill a human because he harmed dogs. Like they're dogs. They don't even have a long life expectancy. They might make it 20 years on the long end.
People eat dogs in China.
But I'm like, but they're ready to kill people over these animals. I'm like, but anyway, sorry.
Like the Sandra Bland thing, like didn't like the one cop that got put in jail is only because his bullet missed and like almost hit a dog or something. It was something weird.
There's a lot of weird stuff like that. We don't. No, it's weird.
This whole is weird. It's a reality show. I swear it is.
Okay, going back to the topic. I know we digressed. Going back to the topic. If we were to punish the mothers for the children, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that would actually create more incentive for them to abandon the children like the fathers do? Like to either abandon or to abort, so they don't have to face these kind of penalties from a wayward child.
You mean like actually because women are allowed to take their kids at any age to the fire station and just leave them? Do you mean like that, like abandoning in that way? You mean
that? Yeah, like the same way the fathers do. They just go go to the store and don't come back. Either way, I don't know. I want to.
It would incentivize them to do it because I think once the women who have already like when you do this. And they already know, like, their kids are already too far gone. I think there'll be a subsection of women who just say, fuck it, I'm taking my kid to the fire station right now before this shit. But I do feel that the women who have their kids young enough will end up pouring into them better.
Okay.
I think if the law was enacted next month, I think there'd be a certain amount of women who would be like, well, my kids are already too fucking bad, and I'm going to go ahead and drop them off. And then we deal with those kids how we can. But I do feel like the kids who are like 9 and under, some of them bad too though. Yeah, 9 and under would the parents would start pouring them in a different way. And that would end up, I think in about 5 years time, start to yield positive outcomes.
Okay. So the next question I have, if again, we're putting the blame or the legal responsibility on the women.
Yes.
For these the mamas and the grandmamas are taking the weight of these charges for these kids.
Yeah.
Can we still, as men, claim headship and leadership? Can we even keep that talking point going if the women are taking responsibility? If the weight's falling on their head, heavy is the head that wears the crown. So they're wearing the crown.
Have men ever claimed leadership in the Black community?
That's what I keep hearing. The men are leaders. The men are the head. It should be God, man, woman, child.
I hear that, but I'm saying, have we ever actually been the leaders in our communities?
According to the traditional men were the heads of the households.
But we're not. We're not though. We never. Okay, we're gonna have to be honest in this and be logical. I don't think that men have really been the leaders that we think that we have been, and especially in the last 50 to 40 years in our communities, we haven't been. So, no. Although before Granny goes to jail and before the mother it should be okay. Kid goes to the father. If you can't find that father, then there's a whole other issue, and then Granny goes to jail.
Okay.
But maybe this gives a reason for the mother to say, okay, I don't want my granny to go to jail, so let me find my kid's father. Like, in the end, I think you have to figure out, one, why these fathers aren't in these kids' lives in the first place. I think that's one of the bare roots that when we have to start asking these women, where is this child's father? Why is this child's father not around? What's the phone number of this child's father? Let's speak to this child's father. Is his story the same? Does he not want to be around, or does he have an issue with you, the mother? Then if that, I think we have to start deep diving into why these fathers are not around. There's too many times where women just say, "Oh, he's just wannabe," and that's the end of the story. That's bullshit. I think we have to, if to have a positive outcome in the community, we have to start getting the stories of why these fathers are not around. Simple as that. And then ask that father point blank, do you want time with your children? If the answer is yes, then we figure it out.
What if he doesn't?
We ask, is it because of the mother or is it because of the children? If it's because of the children and he's an ain't shit dude, I think then we lock him up.
Okay. I like
honestly.
I mean, I'm okay. That's all I want.
There's another wilderness camp where we make these men become better fathers.
There we go. Hey, I'm all for any really solution where it doesn't feel one-sided, man. Because all the stuff falling on the women, where they're already taking care of these children. You know what I'm saying? And the men aren't. They're free to make more children.
They're not really taking care of the children. This is the thing.
Well, okay. No, what you're talking about, you're talking about raising.
Okay.
But they're feeding and clothing these children.
The government is.
They don't have to use. I'm speaking from personal experience here. They
don't
you
look in the camera on me.
Listen, I'm speaking from personal experience. I know people who do not use their benefits for their children. They'll sell stamps and things like that. They do not have to take care of their kids. Like, I know people that honestly just do not take care of their children. And even though they're getting benefits for the child, someone else is bearing the burden of taking care of the child. So, I mean, I want to stipulate there are levels to this. You know what I'm saying? There are levels to to triflingness. Yeah, trifling. There's levels to trifling. So, yeah, the government may be funding, but that mother is taking care of that child with government funding. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take what little bit of credit she might have away. I know, like I said, you're a men's rights activist, but I mean, she is typically she is taking care of the children. So I mean, I want to give her that credit, but I want to propose something to you. Like, so the first major infraction, right? Mm-hmm. The way, like we add this on right now to the way it is right now. It's like the men's rights really don't exist, right? I mean, you would say like parental rights, stuff like that. So the first major infraction, you have to do a DNA test and find the father, and he is either eligible for 50-50 parenting, or the mother carries the weight of the charge. Okay, so that's for the first one. If there's a second one, all right, that father gets 100% sole custody, or grandmama takes the charge. The mom can still say, no, I don't want him having 100% custody, but that means grandmama on mama's side is getting locked up.
Yes.
All right. Then the third one, the woman doesn't even get a choice.
Right. And she has to pay child support to the father afterwards.
Okay. Hey, man. So I mean, some of this stuff is I could actually work with it. Some of this stuff I could live
Granny
with.
too. Granny got no.
No, Granny can't. Don't be hitting her pension, man. You better leave Granny's money alone, man. She got to buy them little hard candies. Come on, man.
Hard candy. Okay, all right.
Yeah, man.
Granny already did 2 months. Granny came out chiseled with tattoos and shit. Granny got a mixtape.
Come out looking like Madea. Gun packing. But yeah, dude, okay.
That would be a whole movie. I would watch that shit. If this scenario was happening where grannies was getting locked up,
man, and there'd be whole granny wing in prison.
And they come out ready to beat their grandkids' ass. Like,
hey, that might actually, if it started happening, they probably would come out. They wouldn't be so sweet.
No, not these hard candy. They beating their kids with the hard candy socks.
A sock full of hard candy. Hard candy and nickels.
Man.
Bah! Now that would be funny. All right. So, question: wouldn't another solution just be to fix the juvenile justice system, where it's not catch and release? Where if you did a hard crime, you weren't like getting out at 18 if you did it at 17 and a half. Like, wouldn't there?
The camps. I am a firm believer. I really have thought about this for some time, and the way we rehabilitate is. There's this movie called Sleepers or Blockers. It came out with Brad Pitt and Jake. And these kids did a really bad thing, and they end up getting put in juvenile detention and got raped. But like the way we put kids in like juvenile, it's not good. And I think when you really take kids out of their environment and kind of put them in wilderness and then surround them. Not with like toxic, those Christian camps, like they get weird too. Like not those type of people, but people who are actually trying to have the right outcome for these kids. And it's not so much a lot of graping going around, or where it's actually with the goal to rehabilitate the kids. I think that's so much better. To let kids get out of their environment, not have them being able to have a hierarchy with other kids where where you have bullying and like none of that's happening. Like that's the one thing about prison. It's like y'all can stop this. They allow they allow these gangs and all this stuff to happen in prison. It's like that's completely counterproductive of what you have. You should have cameras in every set. Whereas it's like no, none of this goes on. Mm-hmm. All of this, no. So, but it's celebrated in juvenile and in regular prisons, and it's like you can't get rehabilitated in that. Mm-mm. So,
yeah, no, they definitely create. They further criminalize, like they reinforce the mental codes and constructs that breed criminality. You know what I'm saying?
When you go to prison, you got to turn to the animalistic version of yourself.
Absolutely.
If you get a prison charge on something you didn't do, and like they put you in or they put me in, we got to revert to our most vicious. We got to turn into savages to make it. Just even make it to court to fight our innocence. We're going to be in there for a few months, and they're going to try us in every single way. You got to turn to an animalistic version of you. It's just like I would. We couldn't be in there like, oh yeah, we're telling our story. Oh yeah, you sound like they don't care.
Yeah, for sure.
In fact, the guards on their white supremacy ass shit will make sure that they send like our own people against us to jack us up.
Man. Okay. Well, man, you pretty much went through all of my points. Now, having gone through all this, so you're talking about work camps for the entire family, right? Mm-hmm. If that doesn't work,
you're rehabilitate the entire family. Yes,
rehabilitate the entire family. So I mean, that's a major. I think I don't know if the word is like an intervention. That's like a crisis intervention at the most fundamental level. You're taking the entire family out of their environment, reconditioning them, and then offering the supports to reintegrate them into society.
Yes.
So I mean that's a radical. That's the word I was looking for. That's a radical idea. So I mean I like that. Okay. Because I think
it's a logical idea.
Yeah, because it's like you would do like if it was an object and not a person, you would take the weak link from a chain and either fix it or replace it and then put the chain back together. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't leave it broken. You would make a whole link and then add that back to the chain to keep the chain. Like that's the community is like a chain. Yeah. And each link is a family. So you're rebuilding a family structure and then putting it back into the community. So, I mean, that makes logical sense. We do it practically now doing it with people. I mean, that's just an abstract. I like that idea. I mean, because I haven't heard that one that way. Okay. Like, so it wasn't punitive. It was restorative. So, I mean, if I would say it a different way. Okay. But if it's going to be punitive, you say take grandma. Take grandma. Because people will be incentivized to step away from that behavior for grandma or the community will rally around grandma.
Yeah, absolutely.
And who would it hurt? Who would that even hurt? So,
okay. some kids might want to hurt their parents.
True.
But not grandma.
Man, I mean, by and large, I think you might be onto something, man. Okay, well, on this idea, is there anything else that you think might be left unsaid? Any other points or ideas that you want to get out?
No, man, I think we've covered a lot. I don't know. It's gonna be fun seeing you clip this. But no, man, I think this has been a dope ass conversation. I appreciate you wanting to have it with me. And
For sure, man.
I know we said it was gonna be like a 10-minute one, but hey, man, like I said, this was a great conversation. And I'll upload the whole thing.
Cool.
It's just two people brainstorming ideas and having a conversation that's like never been had before.
Nah, I'll definitely do that. I will upload the entire thing, and man, I'll still add some clips for, like I said, the conversations for anybody that doesn't get into it. But I mean, I took away some new things, and I even think I've come around on the punishment thing, because you did it in a way where it's actually engages the community, and it's not just punishing a woman. It's not woman bashing. It's like a rallying cry, like a cry for help. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get involved, community or village, whatever you want to say. Y'all got to get involved in this, because when grandma go down, woo. Whoa. I can't get over that one, man.
The people in the church gonna be at your door.
Oh man.
You fucking with their money. Grandma was giving up money to the church.
Oh boy.
Like real talk. Like that's gonna have everybody after that kid to get right.
And don't mess up grandma's pension. See, hey, that's.
And if your grandma was a good grandma and she helped other people in that community, don't let Granny have been a school teacher.
See, man, you keep layering, man. You keep adding on to the layers, man. This little kid ain't gonna make it whole. Like,
if the kid dies, well, Granny got to finish the prison sentence. Like, you can't. You can't kill the kid.
No, man. Dang. But no, I do like that. I again, I know people, if they look at this, they're gonna think I'm crazy for entertaining it. But we need some other method, because the current system, the system that has in this justice system, which has not been to our benefit, that structure doesn't work for us.
Oh, obviously. It's getting worse.
Yeah,
seriously, these kids are getting the last 2 years with the amount of time people have been wearing masks. Like people are much worse now.
Yeah. So we need some sort of like you said, we need a radical departure from what we're doing. I didn't think locking up the mothers was it, but I think you touched upon two ideas that I think I could live with.
Yeah.
Like again, the relocation of the entire family and reconditioning, or like we going after grandma, because the community would rally around grandma, man. I think they would.
Oh, I know they would.
Man. Golly. Woo!
Might have to be great grandma. We got some young grandmas. Might have to be great grandma.
You might be right. We'll have to figure that one out. But
the oldest lady you got in your family is getting locked the fuck up.
I think we might have to do it by the named generation, like the ones that are boomers, the boomer grandma, whatever level she's at. The one that's a boomer with the gray hair with the streaks, that's the one that's got to go.
Not the one with the BBL.
Not that one. Not the one with the tattoos and at the club. No, not that one.
Okay, all right.
Not the 42-year-old grandma.
Church hat granny.
That's church hat granny.
Yeah, we going after that one
with the gloves. Yeah.
Church hat granny. Yes.
Church hat granny got to go.
White Jesus post. White Jesus granny.
Ooh, and you got to arrest her at church service. Got to arrest her at the church service. That's where they serve the warrant, man. On Sunday.
Walk her out of church in handcuffs.
Ooh, man.
Yo.
Could you imagine?
I can't. I want to see this as a TV show. I really do.
Oh, my God. Well, all right, man. What the fuck? I definitely. Man, but that's. For some reason, man, that's a comical idea, and I want to see it, like you said, on TV or something. Yeah. But, man, I don't want to see that in real life. So hopefully we can do something different. But definitely, everybody, I want to appreciate you for watching this conversation. But the Funk said I can put this up, so it will be up in full, but I'll still clip it for the show on Monday, the different parts of it. But What the Funk, again, I appreciate you, sir, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Last words, call your grandmas.
Yeah, before they get locked up.
Give your grandma a call. What the Funk is coming after them.
Yo, get that woman a hug. All right, y'all. Peace.
All right,